We had 7 games on Tuesday night. Luka Doncic facing his former team. Was it a revenge game? We know we love that narrative. What did Bol Bol do tonight? He did some stuff. We'll look at the Magic. Very disappointing performance from them. And the Hornets also, I don't know, they've had a lot of points scored against them lately. We'll break down everything. This is the Tuesday post-game show. Let's go balls deep.
I'm the type to get shit done. You the type to observe. March Madness on my speakers, but today's November 23rd. Got something loud in the blunt, yeah. I don't say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me, and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
Welcome to the Balls Deep podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I'm Adam King. Find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at AdamKing91. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere and everywhere you consume your fantasy basketball content. We are also proudly part of the Old Man Squad network at Old Man Squad. On Twitter, we have 7 games on Tuesday to go through. Do go and check out a couple of shows coming out with me. Not my shows, but recorded a couple of shows today. One with Dan Besbris. That was a mailbag show. I assume he'll get that out probably tomorrow. I don't think it would be tonight. So probably tomorrow. Also recorded with Kayla and Yuri on the Bitches Be Ballin' podcast, breaking down our recent industry mid-season mock draft. So that was a good one. They will both be coming out, I would say, in the next 24 hours. So go and check those out. And, of course, check out all of our shows, or all of my shows. Let's get into the games. We had 7. We had some close ones. We had some not so close ones. First game of the night was one of the, well, yeah, it was close-ish, I suppose. Certainly not super close, but Boston get the win 111-101 over the Raptors. We had some lineup changes for the Celtics. No Drew Holiday. Kristaps Porzingis was a late scratch, very late indeed. So Torrey Craig, for whatever reason, started at centre. He didn't do anything, whatever. Sam Hauser got a spot start, didn't really do anything either. Tatum was not at his best, but fine. Jaylen Brown left this game with a leg injury. They're calling it a bruise or something. He's basically got a corky. I don't know if Americans know what the term corky means, but basically he probably copped an elbow or a knee or something to his quad, and he's got a deep bruise. Can be painful, very painful. Shouldn't be a lengthy absence if there is one here. I would think a game, maybe 2, depending on the severity of it. They're very, very uncomfortable, but nothing long-term to worry about there. Peyton Pritchard had 20 points off the bench. Look, we'll get Porzingis back for the next game. He's already off the injury report, I believe. Let me just double-check that. I'm sure I saw... let's have a look. Yes, so both Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis will return tomorrow against the Pistons, which will mean that obviously Torrey Craig will move out. They could both start, maybe. So Sam Hauser could go back to the bench. Jaylen Brown could be out. Drew Holiday could be back. So really hard to know what we're doing here. But typically not a lot of streaming value in Boston. For the Raptors, Jonathan Mobo moved back into this starting center spot, supplanting Orlando Robinson. Neither player are must roster or even streaming. It's a bit of a stretch. Jakob Poeltl is very close. Didn't play tonight. I don't know if they may not have submitted their injury report for tomorrow yet. He was close. They've said he's close. So maybe we get him back for the next game, which would obviously mean that Mobo and Chris Boucher, Orlando Robinson, they lose all of their appeal. Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett were pretty good in this one. Quickly, not so much. 10, 6, and 7 for Quickly. Just shot the ball poorly. 7 assists are nice. If he goes 6 or 7 of 13 here, he ends up with 16, 6, and 7, which is not a bad line. Grady Dick had 12 points with 2 steals in 32 minutes. He is fine. The minutes are okay at the moment, but not really doing enough to be anything more than a streamer or a specialist. One of the blowouts now, Cleveland beat the Magic by 40 points, 122 to 82. Hence the low minutes for the starters here. You can see they were all of them, bar Evan Mobley, were 25 minutes or fewer. So I'm not really going to dig into this one too much in terms of the starters. I thought Max Strus was pretty good in this one. I streamed him in a league, and he is playing. But yeah, I don't think we don't need to be rostering him. DeAndre Hunter, 17 points here, but it's points. That's it. Ty Jerome continues to play very well. I don't mind him as a sort of a stash, a little bit in your Dayron Sharp discussion. There's a few guys in there, but 20 points. 2 assists, a steal, shooting the ball very well. Garland was out here. I would say down the stretch, they're going to rest Garland. They're going to rest Mitchell from time to time. Strus probably gets some nights off. So Ty Jerome could be a sneaky stash. Well, stash, but for lack of a better term, he is doing just enough, I think, to maintain value, even without other players out. For Orlando, it's not a pretty sight. Banchero and Wagner were okay, nothing spectacular. Everyone else, I don't know. Is there anything to be excited about with this team at the moment? They're not playing well. They're sort of alternating wins and losses, but they need to be winning games if they want to push into the playoff picture. Wendell Carter had 9 and 6 with a steal and a block in his 26 minutes. He's starting. He's playing probably enough to be rostered, but they are really lacking a difference maker at the center spot because it's not Wendell Carter. Goga Bitadze played 8 minutes in this one, so it's not him, obviously. Caldwell Pope has been a pretty poor addition to this team thus far. Cole Anthony got injured in this one, hyperextended his knee, so we can move on from him. Anthony Black is obviously the guy we want to add, but he's been very hit or miss. I still would probably give him a go because he will likely just have to play 30 minutes. In a lot of games, there will be situations where they just probably run without a point guard, but Anthony Black is basically the last man standing until Suggs and Anthony are back, so I don't mind taking a bit of flyer on him, but as for everyone else, I don't see the point. Okay, Phoenix and Memphis, 151-148. Grizzlies get the win in overtime. The Suns, they just can't win a game at this stage. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker have all been fairly serviceable, fairly good over the last couple of weeks. Tyus Jones, obviously no one's holding him, surely. Nick Richards had 6 and 4 with a block. There is a bit of a, what's the word? I can't even think of the word. Richards' minutes almost seem to be dependent on what Bol Bol is doing, what his role is. When Bol Bol is playing big minutes, they play him as a center. Nick Richards is limited. When Bol Bol comes off the bench and plays limited minutes, Nick Richards plays more as the center. So they're sort of reliant on each other. I would rather Bol Bol at this stage just because he has more upside. But do I think we need to add Bol Bol? No, I don't. This was good. 23 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks in 32 minutes. But the last 2 or 3 games, he'd played like 15 minutes. So it's up and down. They're really just trying to figure out what works here. And to this point, nothing is really working. Grayson Allen had 21 points off the bench. 3-point streaming candidate, nothing more. And Royce O'Neal. Look, he can be streamed, but again, the minutes really up and down here as Phoenix try to figure out a winning formula. For the Grizzlies, Zach Edey had 8 and 8 with a block. No need to be rostering him. outside of very deep leagues or in very specific builds. Jalen Wells had 19 points. He's up and down. He's in that. I should just tweet out a list of points streamers, shouldn't I? Because there's quite a few of them floating around at the moment. Maybe I'll do that. Bain was good. Finished my sentence. Ja Morant was pretty good in this one as well. 29 points, 8 assists, 2 steals. Shot the ball terribly, 7 of 25, including 1 of 12 from 3. But the points are good. He's being more aggressive, so more like the Ja Morant we expected. Santi Aldama continues to just find a way to value. Have to roster him at the moment. 17, 6 and 5, 3 steals, 5 threes. Brandon Clark played 21 minutes. Look, both he and Zach Edey are in that specific build kind of range, I suppose. I have Brandon Clark in 1 or 2 leagues, but they are leagues where I'm punting multiple categories. So I don't need points, and I don't need threes, and I don't need assists, and I don't need free throws. Brandon Clark gives you rebounds, defensive stats, and field goal percentage. Kennard was good in the last game, not so good here. We don't need to roster those bench guys there. All right, the Bucks go down to the Rockets 100. Oh, excuse me. We'll have a drink. Okay, let's try again. Bucks go down to the Rockets 100-97. Bucks relatively healthy here. Lillard played, Giannis played. And as we've seen when they all play, Kyle Kuzma, not as impactful, 9 points, 6 rebounds, a steal. We still hold him. Giannis is going to miss time. Dame will probably miss the odd game as well. When they're all healthy, Lopez also not as influential, 12 and 8 with 3 blocks. And Taurean Prince, not influential at all. He had 3 steals, but no, we're not interested in that. And AJ Green, Gary Trent, they continue to just sort of float in and out or on and off the 3-point radar tonight. It was AJ Green who had 4. Gary Trent had 0. Next game, Gary Trent might have 5 and AJ Green might have 1. So it's luck of the draw when it comes to those two guys. For the Rockets, Amen Thompson was ejected in this one for a play on Giannis. I don't think he's going to get suspended. It was a pretty physical game. He does have a bit of a record, obviously, from earlier in the season when he threw Tyler Hero on the floor. What a moment that was. So I don't think he'll be suspended, but do just keep an eye out. He finished with 9 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks and 1 steal. So a little bit quiet offensively, but the rest of the numbers are very good. Tari Eason also started 32 minutes, 12, 6 and 1 with 2 steals and a block. We roster him at the moment. Fred VanVleet will be back at some point, although I do think he's probably a week away. They're saying he's at 80%. At the moment, they need him at 100%. So, yeah, I don't think we need to be worrying about Eason at the moment, other than the fact that they do play tomorrow. He's unlikely to play given it's a back-to-back, so just keep that in mind. Dylan Brooks had 16 points with 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Actually, a nice game for him with Eason out tomorrow. If you streamed him in tonight, I would hold him for tomorrow. And Jabari Smith, 13 points, 8 rebounds off the bench. The minutes are still thereabouts. I think he's okay. And again, with Eason out tomorrow, likely, Jabari Smith will probably start. So I would be holding him through tomorrow at least. All right, San Antonio fall to the Pelicans. Let's start with the Spurs. Devin Vassell. I tweeted out at halftime, I think, that he was on one hell of a slump, shooting, I think it's been something like under 30% for 5 straight games. A little bit better here. Still not great, but he finished with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, 2 threes, and 6 of 6 from the line. So much better. Hopefully he can build on this performance. I have sort of preached that he's not a drop anywhere. He's been pretty close, but hopefully you held on to him. Harrison Barnes had 15 points. He's another one of those points streamer guys. Bismack Biyombo, only 23 minutes, but he had a double-double. That's basically what you're going to get from him. Minutes in the low to mid-20s and a low-end double-double. Usually you would get 1 to 2 blocks as well. So I think he's okay to hold until Bassi returns. Fox, not his best night. but he did have 6 steals. So if you can ignore that shooting, it wasn't terrible. Chris Paul, 12 and 10 with 2 steals and a block. Let's look at the bench, though. It's usually more interesting for San Antonio. Sohan had 12 and 9 with 2 blocks in 19 minutes. So the production is encouraging. The minutes are not. I'd probably still hold if you can, but understand if you can't. His upside is not that high anyway. Same goes for Keldon Johnson. But he is the issue with him is when he's not scoring, he doesn't offer you much else. At least Sohan can do other things. Steph Castle, 4 points, 4 rebounds in 12 minutes. Now, he had foul trouble. They just went away from him because the other guys that were on the court were playing well. So I don't think this is what we need to expect moving forward. But it has been pretty disappointing the last couple of games. I don't think you need to hold him. He will undoubtedly come out in the next week or two and play 30 minutes and give you 25 points and 6 assists and 4 steals or something. But looking at it more holistically or as a bigger sample size, I don't think he's someone we need to roster or prioritize moving forward. Okay, for the Pelicans, Zion, 18, 6 and 3 with a steal. Pretty meh. Not bad, not great. Olynyk, good minutes again, 23. So that's encouraging. 12 rebounds, a steal and a block, 3 assists. Shot the ball poorly. If he's playing in the 25-minute range, I think he has to be rostered, which is great for Kelly Olynyk and for those that enjoy Kelly Olynyk. But it is impacting Karlo Matkovic specifically. He had 8 and 2 off the bench in 18 minutes. So as long as Olynyk is functioning and playing as a somewhat key role member of the rotation, Matkovic is pretty tough to hold on to. Alvarado, 7, 5 and 4 with a steal in 20 minutes. I would be holding him. They went with a little bit more of Bruce Brown here. He built them some momentum in the third quarter. 8 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals. So I think I'd still prefer Alvarado over Bruce Brown. But Bruce Brown is someone, of course, that we need to monitor. Trey Murphy also had 24 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. So he started this one quite slow but got going late, which is great. Yves Missi, 10 and 11 with a steal and a block. He's in that Kalel Ware, Alex Sarr, better than Zach Edey, I think. Donovan Klingen's probably in that range as well. There's a few centers that are okay in specific builds and specific leagues. And last 2 games of the night, Charlotte and the Warriors. Charlotte lose by 36. So I don't know what that makes it. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at what their combined margin. I think it was 90 over the last 2 games. So this would put it at like 128. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it's something like that. It's ridiculous. They've lost 1, 2, 3, 5 of their last 6 games have been blowout losses. It's pretty embarrassing. I know Charlotte are not contending. They're not pushing for wins, but they're not even putting out a product on the floor that's NBA worthy at this point. So, I mean, do we talk about their rotation? I guess. Mark Williams played. He had 12 and 12 with 3 blocks. So good to see him out there. There was no LaMelo, of course, because he's tired or whatever. Nick Smith, not his best game. I'd hold Nick Smith, though. He is at least playing 30 minutes nightly and not sitting games. KJ Simpson, look, if we ever get to a point where LaMelo just decides to leave Charlotte or whatever, KJ Simpson is intriguing. He had 16, 6 and 2 with 2 steals. So, yeah, I don't mind Simpson as just someone to keep an eye on. Seth Curry had 14 points off the bench. Diabate had 5, 4, and 3. And, yeah, no use of Nurkic in this one. Sure. Good luck understanding this rotation. Miles Bridges, of course, is playing pretty consistent minutes. He wasn't great in this one, 2 of 11 from the field, but he had been very good prior to this. Honestly, outside of, well, I mean, even Mark Williams and LaMelo are tough because of the missed games. Bridges is probably a must roster. Nick Smith, even though his upside's pretty limited. And look, I think we have to roster Mark Williams and LaMelo, but if you can get 2 consecutive or even 3 consecutive decent performance out of them, I'd be looking to move them as soon as possible. And for the Warriors, if we bring up the Warriors, there we go. Not really a lot to talk about. It was such an easy win that the starters played bench minutes. Buddy Hield had 16 points off the bench. That's nice, but I'm not adding him. Pajemski, only 10 and 5. I would be holding him. I would be holding Moody, Butler, Green, Curry, all of those guys. Kuminga will come back eventually, but we aren't there yet. So I'm just going to move to the next game because it hurts my eyes to look at that one. Dallas and the Lakers. So Luka up against his former team. The Lakers do get the win in the end, 107-99. Credit to Dallas. They stuck at it. They kept this one pretty close. Kessler Edwards started, whatever. Don't care. PJ Washington. This is the PJ Washington experience, isn't it? If you just don't look at that points column, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks, 1 steal. Very nice counting stats, but 0 points on 0 of 9 shooting. Look, if you have PJ Washington, you know these games are coming. You just have to be prepared. He will be better than that, of course. Klay Thompson had 11 points in the third quarter, I think. 22 points for him, not much else. But, yeah, good. Good to see Klay out there, playing 30 minutes, hitting threes. He is also in that points streaming bucket. Kyrie was very good. Max Christie, not his best game against his former team. He hit a couple of big shots, but 10 points, 6 assists. I'm still holding him. The minutes are absolutely safe at this point. Spencer Dinwiddie, Najee Marshall. I'd rather Marshall. I think he just does a little bit more. Dante Exum was forced from the game here with a head injury. He copped a LeBron elbow on a drive. So I don't think unless it's a broken something. But if not, it's probably just maybe a missed game or something like that. But certainly the Dallas Mavericks are a roster we want to keep an eye on, given that their trajectory is sort of in limbo at the moment. Let's look at the Lakers. Luka, triple-double against his former team, 19 points, 15 rebounds, 12 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Was actually on track for a much better line than this. They contained him quite well in the second half. He almost had a triple-double at halftime. So they did slow him down, but still a really nice performance. Austin Reeves had 20 points with his 5 assists. Of course, when Luka and LeBron are healthy, Austin Reeves' assist numbers are going to take a bit of a hit. But LeBron's assist numbers also took a hit here, only 3 of them. He had 27 points and 12 rebounds to go with those 3 assists. So still okay. But there's obviously just the ball is going to be in Luka's hands a lot. So Austin Reeves and LeBron James' assist upside just takes a bit of a bump down. Jackson Hayes had 8 and 8 with 2 blocks. Talked about him earlier. Roster him if he fits your need. And Rui Hachimura, another player in the points streaming bucket at the moment. All right, a few questions, not too many. I like that. Ernest, you dropped Suggs for Bol once he was announced to be starting. Thoughts on the move? Well, yeah, so Dan and I talked about Suggs this morning and what are we doing with him? Do we know what's happening with him? No, we don't know what's happening with him. I'm okay with dropping him, I think, in some leagues. If it's a standard league, you said, so if it's standard rosters, top 140 kind of thing, yeah, I'm okay with that. Bol is playing. It's sort of up and down, but I'm okay with that. Little Cat. Christie, Scoot, Collier, Grimes drop 1 in a points league. It's probably Scoot at the moment. The other three are all playing 30-plus minutes. Scoot is between 20 and 26. So as of right now, it's probably Scoot. Would I stash Yabusele if my playoffs are far away? Look, you could. His upside's pretty limited. We still don't have official word on Embiid. We're assuming that he's done for the season. And I'll continue to assume that until we hear otherwise. Yabusele, look, he didn't play yesterday. I think he's ruled out for tomorrow. So Adem Bona, Andre Drummond are two guys we're looking at for tomorrow. Also be aware that Nick Claxton is suspended tomorrow. So my Dayron Sharp stash might come to fruition for one game. It might be a one night only kind of a thing. But yeah, just be aware of that. If Sharp is available tomorrow, maybe just grab him and see what happens. As for Yabusele, look, I think fine if you want to, but he's top 100 maybe. So I don't think you have to. Yeah, I think you can, but you don't have to. Lopez continues to average top 70. Okay, good. Would I trade Melo for Garland at this point? Yep, I probably would. Garland, look, wanting someone who plays. Garland is, well, he's missed 2 games now, I think. I do think that the Cavs are going to rest Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen down the stretch because they are so far ahead in the East that it's not going to matter. Those rests probably won't come until mid-March. So if your leagues start wrapping up then, just be aware that you might get the odd miss game. But, yeah, look, LaMelo, I mean, what? I think most teams have got about 23 to 24 games left. I would think that LaMelo maybe plays in, I don't know, 2/3 of those games. So it's 16 games. Garland probably plays in like 20. So you're going to get 4 to 5 more games, I think, barring injuries and things like that. And that's assuming Garland comes back. If I'm starting or playing in a points league next year, can you join? Yep, sure. I don't know if I will. I might. I'm not in any this year. I don't think. I'm sure I've done points leagues in the past, but just didn't this year. But yeah, no, I will let people know if I start one. Do I think the Sixers shut it down? Yes, I do. And would I hold Grimes? I would hold Grimes though. Yep. If Cole has a serious knee injury, are we adding Anthony Black? From Sammy Lombardo. I think we are. Look, I think he's going to miss at least a few games here. It was a hyperextended knee. I didn't see it. I tried to look it up. I'll look again later. I didn't see the injury, so I don't know if it was a non-contact or a knee-on-knee. Or so I'm not sure on the severity of it. But, yeah, look, if he's going to miss a week and Suggs is, who knows what Suggs is doing. So I think Anthony Black, despite him being pretty ordinary tonight, I think he's still worth a look because he's their only point guard, really. Of course, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner can handle the ball, but they aren't point guards. There's a difference between handling the ball and getting assists and actually being a point guard. So, yeah, I don't mind him. Thoughts on Biyombo's 2 solid games? He's very, very unappealing, but he is a nightly double-double with a block. So, yeah, if that fits what you need, if you just need cheap big man stats, until Bassi is back, I'd be okay with that. Alex, Dayron Sharp, Drummond, or Zach Collins? For tomorrow, I assume you mean. I'm going to go Sharp just because I think he has the most upside. Drummond, I think even though Drummond is probably going to play more minutes tomorrow, I don't think they can play him more than about 24. I think Adem Bona will play a bit more. So I think Drummond is pretty capped, even though he will have an opportunity. Zach Collins is probable tomorrow. Vooch is doubtful, I think. So there's no guarantee that Zach Collins plays. They also do have a fairly tough matchup. I did have a look because I was looking at whether I should add him in a league. They play. Oh, the Clippers, that's right. So he'll be up against Zubac, who's obviously not a great defensive centre, but he is a good centre. So I'm going to go Sharp. I have no idea if the Nets are comfortable running him out there for 30 minutes a night like they've been doing with Claxton, but there's no Clowney either. So I think Watford will play a bit more, but I'll go Sharp just because why not? Would I stash Bassi over Yabusele? Look, I would. 9 times out of 10, I would. My concern is that Bassi's knee injuries are ongoing. So this is not a new thing. It's a new knee injury, but it's the same knee that he's had troubles with. So, yeah, I'm just not convinced they're going to play Bassi 26 minutes a night. He's also injured at the moment, as is Yabusele. But so, yeah, look, I think if you can take a chance, I would, because I think he has far more upside than Yabusele. But Yabusele is pretty safe. Yeah, I think so. Asti, would I drop Ayton for Caruso or Anthony Black or other waiver while the 14 teams should be secured at 4th place? Look, per game, obviously giving up a lot there. I'm somewhat sold on the idea of Ayton being done for the season. There's no reason for them to get him back at all. Caruso's pretty hit or miss. Injuries, he's had a hip injury all season, it feels like. Black, production is very up and down. But yeah, look, I think you could. I mean, we're at a point in the season where it depends on when your playoffs are as well, but I think I'd be okay with moving on from Ayton. Here we go. What's this? A league-related... Oh, it's just a comment. So current league might get shut down due to collusion. Cunning league mates love convincing the casuals to tank and screw up the standings. Yeah, look, that's where the commissioner can step in, but it does depend on the league and that sort of thing. If I saw anything like this in my league, I'd be kicking people out and convincing them to tank. I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean trading players? And that's where I have all of my leagues have commissioner sort of veto capability on all trades because it can happen. But yes, it is hard when you've got casuals in there as well. Another one from Little Cat. Would I estimate Scoot to get 30 minutes plus as it is almost March? Jeremy Grant hibernation. Yeah, he's prepping, isn't he? I think he will at some point. Yeah, it's tough with the Blazers because they're actually a little bit better than we thought. It doesn't look like they're actively shutting it down yet. I think we will get there, but I just don't know when. It's a little bit later than I thought it would be. Who's the better stash between Suggs and Ayton? I think it's Suggs because I think he comes back. Is Shaden Sharp worth holding? From Peter R. It's pretty hard. He's in that Scoot discussion, isn't he? Where I think he will have a larger role at some point, but it's pushing back and pushing back. His production's been fine, not great. I'd rather Scoot. If there was a decision between stashing Scoot and Sharp, I'd prefer Scoot just because of the assists and steals. Sharp is really points only, and as I've said, going through this and many other shows, there are a ton of guys that you can potentially stream at the moment for points. Here's more from that Steve question. Where is that question from Steve? Oh, it was up here. Oh, I don't know where it was. Playoffs. The final, so your league ends 30th of March. Is it worth holding Ayton for that? If you're locked into first place. Oh, look, if you're locked into first place, you could hold him for another week or so and just see if we get an update on him. If we haven't heard anything by the time the playoffs start, I think you'd be okay to just move on. more on that league. Let's do this question first from Adam. Good name. 12-team 9-cat traded Ware and Cam Thomas for Fred Van Fleet. Thoughts? Van Fleet is the best player there, so it makes sense in that respect. It's a right time of year to start consolidating your lineup a little bit to open up some streaming spots. Cam Thomas is close, but I've said multiple times he's going to be limited. He's not going to play back-to-backs. He doesn't do anything other than score, so he's really going to be points only and like 18 to 20 a game, maybe 22. If he hits his stride at some point, he could get up to 25, 26. But yeah, I think that's fine. As long as you've obviously got to wait for Van Fleet to come back here, which is maybe a week, but that's fine. More context on that league. It's a 7-year league. Friends from high school. Some guys are better at fantasy than others, so they're telling the lower seeds not to play their players on purpose. Well, yeah, look, I mean, if that's happening, the commissioner should be stepping in and saying that you need to at least have your players active. It's not hard. You hit the button, start all active players for the week. It takes 5 seconds. So it's not like you're asking them to go in and make trades. And even if their players are injured, I would at least be saying play your active or play the guys that are tabled to be in action. And you can actually set rules about that. Most dynasty leagues do have rules around that for very good reasons, but you can do that in a redraft league. You set a rule, and I mean, I don't know if there's a buy-in in this league, but you can set rules around it. But look, if people are doing that, and you've said here that the commissioner is considering shutting down the league. He's considering shutting it down now. Okay, well, yeah. Look, it's probably time to find another league, to be fair. It's a 7-team league. I know you've said that. That's pretty rough in itself. So I would get all the guys, if it's just going to be shut down now. Obviously, that sucks if you're at the top of the standings, but I would just get all the guys that you're playing with, and pretty sure that you could fill a league with guys. Jump into the FBI Discord server or the Old Man Squad Discord server and just say, there's 4 of us or 3 of us. We were in a points league. Obviously, you do this next season because we're at the end of the season. But just say, I'm starting up this points league. I actually want guys that are going to commit and set their rosters and set their lineups and things like that. You'll fill it. You'll fill it with people. And it'll be much more fun. So I would look at doing that. All right, time for me to go. Another post-game show tomorrow. As I said, keep an eye out for the mailbag show that I did with Dan and the show I did with Kayla and Urity. I assume they'll be out in the next 24 hours or so. And then, enjoy the basketball. And I'll be back at the usual time tomorrow. Please go and download. Please go and subscribe. Please go and like. Do all of that stuff. I know we're getting towards the end of the season. I know people are dropping off. Listeners are dropping off. Totally expected, totally reasonable. If your team is out of the playoff race, you're going to lose interest, and that's fair enough. That's part of the reason I do so many leagues. So I'm at least competitive in 1 or 2 of them. And if you want to join more leagues next year, remember, FBI do have a ton of leagues. We do a lot of draft-only leagues as well. So lots of options there for you. And that'll do. I'm out of here. I'm Adam King. This has been the Balls Deep post-game show. Until next time, catch ya.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at FBI.